Ladies and gentlemen, Roboquest is finally out of early access, which means the story is palpable, the levels are playable, and the experience is polished. But the most important thing for any game that has you replaying the same thing over and over with minor changes is achievements. And for Team Use the Great Be Blessed, they're here. Developed by RyseUp Studios, Roboquest is a roguelite, meaning that you will die numerous times and experience a slightly different run on every subsequent attempt, be it because you decided to take a different path, or got more favorable RNG when it comes to perks, upgrades, and weapons.
Hey, Daddy!
While that does make a noticeable difference, it doesn't come at the cost of the core gameplay experience, which is a babyfied Doom, or a Google Gaga Eternal, if you will. Roboquest excels in its very fast pacing and captivating visuals. I played my fair share of roguelites, and usually I could slap on a video to watch on my second monitor while going through the motions. I can't do that in Roboquest. The movement options you have and how fluidly they can be woven together create an experience that feels like you took a sniff of that anabolic good. It is far too high octane to be able to distribute your focus equally. Instead, the gameplay experience goes best with banging music. But to get that experience, you'll have to do multiple runs, as the advanced movement options take the form of gadgets that can be unlocked by completing tasks. Usually they're found in the yellow areas of the map, and one exists in pretty much every level, giving you incentive to try different routes after failed or successful runs. And even when you have every gadget unlocked and every workshop upgrade purchased, there's still something to do, like collecting each robot certificate or discontinuing robots mercilessly with various weapons to unlock their respective cards. While doing that, you can also unlock different classes by meeting specific requirements, some being simple, while others requiring more attentiveness. Each class comes with a unique primary and secondary ability that will spice up the flow of gameplay, but what you'll feel the most is guns. Every single weapon in this game looks great. Not just because of their cartoony touch, but because every animation is beautifully made and conveys a wonderful, weighty feeling. Something I really like is that you don't have to worry about ammo or reloading in Roboquest. It goes hand in hand with the whole zoomy zoom vibe the game is going for. That's not to say reloads don't exist. They do, and they come with good animations that are accompanied by cartoony text that seems intrusive at first, but honestly, you barely ever notice it when fighting. Especially if instead of reloading, you take advantage of the pocket reload mechanic that fills up your pocketed weapon in a rather hasty fashion. Though I do have one issue here. I don't understand why single-shot weapons like a bow or kunai have a reload. I'm not talking about pulling a new arrow or grabbing a new knife. If that was the reload, we'd be vibing right now. I'm talking about an actual poor excuse for a reload, wherein after a set amount of projectiles cast, your character flips the arrow or spins the knife. This makes no sense at all. Not only when you compare it to other games that have similar weapons, but also when you compare it to the flare gun that exists as a single-shot weapon within Roboquest itself. If we're gonna entertain spinning kitchen cutlery as a valid excuse for brute-forcing reloads, then why doesn't the character lick the tip of the flare every 5 or so shots? If you're gonna implement some unnecessary addition, at least make it consistent. Or just don't add it to begin with, as it really adds nothing to the game. Now close your eyes and imagine how someone just told you a long story about how edging is a double-edged sword. Your natural takeaway from that is going to be that edging has pros and cons, right? Well, that's the power of descriptive wording. It paints an image in your head about the nature of something without giving much, if any, detail. A very powerful tool when naming perks or skills in a game. If you see a name like Perfect Sixth, you'll instinctively assume every sixth something, a something happens. Then all the developers have to do is justify your assumption by turning the sixth something into shot, and something happens into some bonus like increased damage. Couple that with an image that visualizes the name, and the result is a pleasant experience in which the surface level information alone carries most of what you need to know about the use of a skill or perk. In this regard, Roboquest falls very short. All of the perks are named after their image, And these images are not some Lovecraftian horrors that have something to do with being responsible for the rapidly decreasing robot population. These images are a rubber duck, a pickle jar, a sponge, and the list goes on. This means just seeing the perk gives no information of its value in the game. Something like Fly Swatter increases damage against flying enemies. That makes sense. But can you tell me what a red car has to do with 100% auto critical chance when crouched? Literally a squatting robot with the 100 emoji above it would make more sense. If the images were some cool unique art with an interesting name, then I'd be fine with the disconnect between the visual and the actual. But it genuinely feels like RyseUp Studios thought they were cooking up an ingenious art approach to perks by asking a child, "What is this?" while holding a picture of an apple, to which the kid said, "You stupid apple!" Having a reload animation on weapons that shouldn't have one and artistically uninspired perks don't really take away from the experience. Same goes for corrupted rooms, although they do kinda suck. In each level, you'll find a purple area on the map, which represents a corrupted room, wherein you complete a parkour challenge for a chest. 93% of the time, these are super boring and don't do anything to elevate the experience. Later in the game, once you have gadgets like the grappling hook, they're all trivialized to the point where they're just comically bad. Literally having the reward chest at the door instead of going inside would make for a more enjoyable flow of gameplay. Corrupted rooms could be as simple and straightforward as they are because each level has a timer you're racing against for scores. But this could be easily circumvented to elevate the experience by stopping the timer within the corruption, the same way it does in break rooms, by giving a time boost reward for completing a room, or having some workshop upgrade that does either of the two. Then these rooms could be fleshed out and be their own enjoyable bubble, much like vault rooms are in Gunfire Reborn, where you can find various challenges that can be potentially failed depending on your build. I really like how enemies will have you constantly moving around and incentivizing you to use the most of your movement options and abilities. It keeps things fresh and snappy. When it comes to sound design, art style, bosses, and things to unravel, the game is fantastic. The bosses especially are a highlight. You can sense the amount of care put into them with each encounter. And if some bosses prove to be too easy, there's 8 difficulty options in total for you to curate the experience towards your challenge threshold. The game even has a story. Granted, it only exists to push the setting forward. AI goes rogue, stop AI, happily ever after. There's really nothing egregious about this little Doomlight indie gem, which is why the final rating for Roboquest is a corrupted out of 10. That's about it. Don't forget to slap like, slap wife, it's and I'll get you.